really would like to brush your hair if you. Oh, hello, creepy crawlies, and welcome back to another Ice Cream Queens. I hope everybody's having a good evening and are excited for a fun show all about creepy dolls. So let's jump right in and let's bring in my co hosts, Kat, Magda, and
Hello.
Lauren.
Hey,
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
I caught somebody fixing
Lovely.
cleavage. I just saw that.
my bra decided to break right now and poke me with the underwire. So it's gonna be a great show.
Yep.
Mhm.
We're just setting the pace. It's going to be that show. So what has everybody been up to?
There was the drive-in that we wanted to go to. There's a local drive-in here in Memphis, if you do not know. They do show old movies. They were going to be showing one of the Chucky movies. I think it was the first one, and then also Bride of Chucky. But man, it was too cold and so wet. We all looked at each other, and I don't even think we talked about it. Like some of us were just like,
Nah.
Yeah.
I think that we are extroverted enough that we like to get together and go places, but we're introverted enough that if you say, plans are over, we're like, yay, stay home, pajamas. So Eli, fixing the I'm not streaming.
so much cleavage. Hello, Eli. Eli sends the funniest things.
You know
If you want someone to send you funny things, make friends with Eli.
Eli is our friend, and he has the best comments ever. Okay, so we have actually kind of already jumped on this, and so I am going to throw this back out there. Interview with a Vampire. I know that we have all recently had the conversation about we don't mind remakes and revisiting characters and if it brings in a new audience, but man, oh man, oh man, I'm struggling. I am so okay. So they have recently cast Claudia, and she is now being aged up to about 17 or 18 years old, and I am having such a hard time with it.
I'm torn just because of the age. Like I've looked into the casting, and she's a beautiful girl.
She is.
I would love to see her. Yeah,
There she is.
I would
Bailey
love to see her.
Bass.
As what was the lady that was Claudia's like?
Madeline.
I would love to see her as that, an adult, but it's so difficult when the character is supposed to be 5, and it was based off of a real life 5-year-old who lost their battle with
leukemia.
Leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the themes behind the character is her forever being stuck into the mind of, a toddler, and so much of the themes are going to be completely shifted that it's I want to like it, I really do, but I just feel like it's another one of those like, look, there's one girl and 2 vampire guys, and they're gonna fight over her. Look, it's Buffy. Look, it's True Blood. Look, it's
okay. So this is the original cast, and okay. So I know not everybody is a fan of the original cast, but I will say that Kirsten Dunst pretty much captured the feel for who Claudia was based after, which was Michelle Rice, Anne Rice's daughter, who had this. That's Michelle. Who had leukemia and passed at 5. And so for me, reading Interview with the Vampire and being a parent that has lost a child before, taking that element away from it just, to me, erases an emotional connection that I already had with that book, and had again even later in life. So by the way, yes, I don't know if you guys have seen this. There is Anne Rice actually sat down with Ashley Marie Witter and did Claudia's story. It's a graphic novel. I mean, they poured over every page. And so this is going to be what I'm going to recommend to read versus maybe watching the zero. I don't know. I'll still watch it.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's only fair to give it a shot.
Exactly. Yeah, I believe we discussed this in the chat before, but I want to go say it out loud as well. there may be reasonings as to why she was aged up. A, acting chops. B, things that they're wanting to be able to touch on that are more adult, and we get that. Also, Anne Rice's son is working on the show.
Yes.
And it might be hard to have a character that is that close to his sister for him.
Yes, true. He is the executive producer. Somebody with glasses.
Literally does not know Claudia is. Probably screaming inside. Oh, wait, it's got something to do with Anne Rice. Still internally screaming.
I think...
Oh, I did not know that Claudia's story existed.
Yeah.
Honestly, neither did I until DL showed me.
It's a really good graphic novel. I've read a couple pages in.
I've read a couple of pages in, and I'm trying. I found it online, and I'm trying to get it. So, Kat, what are your thoughts on it? Now? I know that you've probably seen the original. Did you ever read the Interview with the Vampire series, or?
I think I did, and it's been many years ago. And I remember seeing it, and it was. I'm trying to think because I think I watched it. Because not trying to date myself at all, but I think Kirsten Dunst, I think me and her are probably like very close to the same age. And I think I watched it probably when it was made about that age. So I honestly, I couldn't tell you as far as the movie and everything, it was a vampire story. I remember as a kid watching it, and I think I even read the book. I don't know. I didn't realize that the character was based off of Anne Rice's daughter. So, I mean, changing something like that up is, I don't know. That's kind of a significant thing to change. So I'm kind of with you. I'm just kind of like, I don't really know. But like you said, it could just be that her brother is on the set and doesn't want similarities, just changing it up. So I don't have a whole lot to put into this to tell you honestly. It's been so long ago.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time they did age her up. Just for the movie Interview alone, they aged her up as well. And I don't. How old was she in that movie? Like,
I think she was like 8 or 9, somewhere around.
Something like. And that to me was acceptable because trying to get a 5-year-old to act
to do
those
anything.
like
no.
It goes beyond Alita, so it gets problematic and uncomfortable, which is the point of the story, but it's outside of the supernatural aspect, it becomes disturbing. So I understand aging a child up for this particular character because the horror of that character is that she is so young physically, but mentally is not. So, I mean, I see why it's problematic. I see why they'd have to change that, especially in this climate. There's so much that people would look at and become exceedingly upset and disturbed by, and rightly so. So I do understand. I do. Hello.
It's my friend Sierra. Hello, Sierra.
Hello. We're missing comments. Sorry, I'm just over here talking.
No, I agree. But one of the things that I always point out when people start commenting on the relationship and her being an adult in a child's body, and the basically the issues that it creates, is that Anne Rice's vampires are sexless, and she is actually So I think there's basically kissing, but the lust is truly bloodlust and just seeking out things of beauty.
I wonder if they're going to change that.
No, yeah, it's going to be all sexed up.
Though the vampires themselves are sexless, the people reading it are not. So they're going to be reading things into it and deciding in their own head what exactly is this going on. So you can't avoid that.
I thought Claudia was an interesting conversation topic to lead into this evening.
She's a bit of a doll.
Yes. Well, I mean, she is described as being a living doll and, an eternal doll. And they dressed her as a doll, which, by the way, was one of the most epic fits. Oh my gosh, that scene where she throws a fit and all of a sudden you're just like, this little kid had this epic meltdown, and you could have sworn it was a 30-year-old woman throwing a hissy fit. Mm-hmm. Better than me. But with that said, speaking of dolls, let us bring in our special guest this evening. Come on. Vicky Van Gogh.
Oh,
Hello.
Hello, how are
hello.
you?
Good. How
Lovely
are
to
you
see you.
doing?
Very good. Very
So,
good.
Vicky, can you give us a quick elevator spill and tell us about who you are, what you do, and how you came to be here this evening?
Okay, so I'm Vicky Van Gogh. I'm a Gothic artist. I also specialize in horror dolls that I sell at conventions, online, and like a store in my local neighborhood here. And so you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and that's where you'll see where I go to conventions and the latest news, the projects I'm working on, and so forth.
Now, I see
Awesome.
you have a enormous doll collection behind you, and then
Yes.
I'm also seeing some paintings on the walls as well. And I know that you are a painter, and
Yes.
I've seen If you haven't had a chance to
Mm.
look at her paintings, they're gorgeous. Oh my gosh. There's a Frankenstein and a Bride of Frankenstein that I absolutely love. There's
I
at
should
least
have brought some of my prints to show you. But you can find it. You can find it on Instagram.
I was about to say after the show, throw the link to it in the comments so people can find it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. Yes,
So,
these paintings are actually, because I also am a collector. I love art, so I collect original art from pretty much artists that are still living, which is great to support. So that wall is my art gallery wall, and every
Nice.
New Year's Eve I'll take a picture in front of it and I'll post it. But I
Nice.
love that wall.
Lovely.
I can
I'm just
understand
sitting
why
here
you would love that wall. I know we're all. It's like there's so much to take in.
So
and we're
many
just like,
dollies.
I know we're over
Mommy
here
for big
studying
again.
the background.
Yeah, this room is maximalist. That's what we call it.
Oh my goodness.
We
So
like
how-
maximalism, so it
Yes.
works.
Yes. So how did you get into creating dolls?
So when the movie Annabelle came out, well, prior to that, I had seen a special and there was this Gothic doll, and I thought that was so amazing. I had never seen someone turn a regular doll into something, darker, but cute still pretty. So I had shown a friend one that I did. I did one. First, I went to the thrift store and I bought like 5 dolls. And I said, oh, I'm just going to do this. So I did one, great. And then after that, I had absolutely no idea what else to do with one. So I just wrapped them up and put them in the closet and I forgot about it. Then Annabelle came out and a family member said, oh, you look at this doll. It's haunted and this would be good. You should do this. And so I looked at the way the doll was done and it seemed simple enough. So I recreated it and I put it out on eBay and I said, well, see what happens. And I literally was the only person or artist that did a doll based off a movie and had it on eBay. Usually eBay's filled with all sorts of things. No one did an Annabelle doll. So it was the only doll up there. So obviously it sold to a paranormal investigator. And from there I said, wow, let me do another one. Now I wasn't replicating the doll. I was just doing like the braids and making the makeup look like Annabelle. It wasn't until like, I think Annabelle number 15 that I did where I started to really make her look like her. And that was it. And then it's just, someone said, you have to go to a horror convention and sell these. So that's when I went to Monster Mania and that was my first one. It was in Maryland and it was great. And then ever since then, I've been doing them.
That is awesome. Do you have a favorite? Like
a favorite of a
the-
regular of a
of the
doll
one-
in general?
Well, okay, a favorite of the ones behind you, and also a favorite of one of the ones that you've made.
Okay, so
Two favorites.
a favorite one behind me, I would say, well, the vampire, since you're talking about Interview with a Vampire. I love vampires. And my Wednesday doll, that's a custom doll that I
Love
do.
that one.
That one's very popular and I love making her. I mean, I make it's from everything from the dress to the hair to the whole face. So she's like completely custom for the customer. And then as far as a horror doll, I'm not a fan of Chucky. Sorry, Chucky fans. I'm big on horror characters that tell jokes. I'm just not a fan of that. So he's out. And so Annabelle, of course, since she started my whole doll career, she's obviously a favorite.
Nice.
Now, obviously, since you work in like porcelain dolls, I'm assuming that you made the version of the doll from the movie, not the original,
Not
which
the
was more
original.
of a Raggedy
Raggedy
Ann.
Ann.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
Raggedy Ann. It was just a regular, I think, Knickerbocker Raggedy
Mhm.
Ann, and she was huge. I have one. I mean, she's ginormous. She's like, I don't have her here, but she's huge. So I would love to recreate the case that she goes in, that big
Ooh.
wooden
Oh,
case that
nice.
the Warrens had her in their haunted gallery or museum. So I would love to do that, bring it to the show, because everybody who comes to the shows, they take pictures. That's the biggest thing. I have signs all over that say, yes, you can take our picture. So the dolls get so much action. So I would love to bring one of those to the show. That would be great.
Now, I also
Nice.
saw another one that you had posted, and it looked, I'm assuming it had to be a very old doll. I am a huge Vampira fan, and I saw a photograph of a Vampira doll that it looked like it might have been like an original, like older Vampira doll. Um,
Yes, I did do that. That was, I'm trying to think the base doll, because I'll work off a base doll. And I think that base doll was a porcelain doll that
Mhm.
her hands looked like that. They looked great. And then, because sometimes I'll see a doll and I'll say, oh, I'm going to make her into that. So
Oh,
this one, the hands were perfectly positioned and she already had the dark hair. And actually, no, she had blonde hair. I had to paint it black. And I made her into vampire and she looked unbelievable. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like coming right from the black and white movie that she was in.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a great one.
so on our original conversation, I think we kind of touched on this a bit, but have you ever had anybody, or have you ever encountered a doll, first of all, that you think might have something attached to it, like a ghost or a spirit or a presence?
Yes. So I will get dolls gifted to me from people that come to the show. So there are some that I'll keep for myself. And then there are some that just have this energy about them. And so out of probably around 450 dolls that I have done, maybe 15 I have sold as haunted. And I will disclose that they're haunted. I will tell them all about whatever I was feeling from it. I actually have on YouTube, you'll see I have a top 10 Vicky Van Gogh haunted dolls. And it has little stories and they're really interesting stories. And some people will call me and say, oh my God, she really did cross her ankles. Like there was this one doll that would cross her ankles. It was the craziest thing. And then we have this big story when I did my first Annabelle doll. And I had said this to you the other day.
Mhm.
So we're in the dining room and we're eating, and I had her sitting on the chair, and my fiance comes in and says, oh, we're not going to eat with the doll. No. So this was before the boy came out. And Annabelle had not come out yet. I just knew she was coming out. So he puts a blanket or a coat over her head. Didn't think anything of it. And 15 minutes later, the whole curio cabinet in my living room that I've had there for 10 years broke from the top of the shelf, glass shelf, all the way down to all four glasses. Everything, fairies and tchotchkes, broken. And so now I had to sell her as a haunted doll. On top of the fact that she already was a replica of Annabelle, but now she really was a haunted Annabelle. So, and that's the one that the paranormal investigator bought. But yes, I try to sell them as soon as possible because I don't want them hanging around.
Even I'm very pretty now. Good.
Well, yeah, but if you're the creator, you shouldn't be scared of the doll. It shouldn't be haunting you.
Right. I'm definitely not afraid since, they're coming from my home and my home's very loving. But I don't want them, here. So I sell them. And they do go very quickly. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Eli, we don't
Teddy
know if
bear.
you're full of crap or not, but we're just going to go with that. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment since we are talking about haunted dolls and creepy doll experiences because we have a group, an audience participation question. And I just want people to let us know, have you ever had a creepy experience with a doll? Eli, we do not want to hear about blow up dolls, so please don't even go there.
Definitely creepy.
Mm.
So we have had my mother-in-law decided several like years ago when my oldest child was probably like 4 or 5 years old that she was going to get her a My Twin doll. And I don't know who, do you remember those? Does anybody? Okay,
I
so
do.
basically you send all of these pictures of your child from like different angles and they create a doll that looks like your child.
That already sounds
I know.
creepy.
And then you can buy outfits to match the child and the doll.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, so when Scarlett got the doll, she named it Tracy. Now, I don't know how I feel about this because her mother-in-law's named Tracy too, but we're gonna leave that alone. But but she got this doll, we got this doll made for her. And after a while, she decided she did not like Tracy. And this is Tracy. Tracy is now in her children's room. Tracy is frightening. And by the way, she doesn't look anything like Scarlett did when she was tiny. Nothing at all.
I was going to say the hair tone isn't even right, probably.
No, but it got to a point where Scarlett did not want anything to do with Tracy, and so Tracy got when my in-laws moved to Missouri, she moved to Missouri with them, and so they decided they were going to pack her up and send her back, and she sent her back through us. So Tracy sat in my house and I'm like, I don't want this doll in my house. I don't like this doll. This doll just gives me bad vibes. There's just something about it that I just don't like this doll. So we gave it to Scarlett. She did not want the doll. She was like, I do not want this doll under no.
The back of the closet.
Relegate to the closet. I love it.
She even
I will
looks
s-
pissed.
She actually looks a bit more like Ellie, my granddaughter, but Ellie cannot stand it. And she basically has told us, Missouri. Yes, Ellie has told us that she doesn't like Tracy and Tracy is mean. And we don't know what Tracy is doing, but she doesn't like Tracy and Tracy is mean. Therefore, Tracy is now in the closet. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
that's,
Yeah.
it's a horrible doll. It's a horrible, horrible doll.
All right.
Not a
So
personal
Fish
experience.
said, not a personal experience, but a reoccurring nightmare as a child. I was in my sister's playpen. Her blinking doll was crawling after me. The playpen turned into an incline, and I slid to the doll. Ooh, that's a nightmare.
Okay, so
Not
why is it that people are so terrified yet fascinated by dolls?
think
Magda,
it
I'm going to
might-
lean on you.
I think it might be the phrase that they've come up with recently is the uncanny valley. It's where it's almost human, but not quite. It looks like it should be moving and talking and doing things, but it's not. And on top of that, if you look through history, it's okay, admission here. Once upon a time, there were these little sort of voodoo dolls, I suppose you could call them. They were dolls you would create to look like someone, and they were used in a form of traditional spellcraft. I don't call it witchcraft because it wasn't so much that, but sailors' wives would create little dolls of their sailor husbands to keep them safe and things. They called them puppets.
Mhm.
Actually, my those of you know my daughter's nickname is Poppet. But Poppet means a little thing, something tiny. And dolls have been used to represent people. Dolls have been used to represent concepts. Dolls have been used, if you look at the pharaoh's tombs in Egypt, they have little tiny dolls of themselves, of their servants, of their family, to take them into the next life. You look all the way back to prehistoric times and you have little dolls of goddesses. So dolls have been part of humans as long as humans were able to use tools. So they're always going to be something that you cling towards as comfort, but also are terrified of because they can be used for evil as well. You can, voodoo dolls is a perfect example. People think of that as something that's horrid. You can stick it with pins and you can do all this sort of thing to it. I think it's that back and forth that people are drawn to it because, baby dolls, it's comforting. You play with it as a child, but you're never quite sure if your toy is all that safe. So I think it's that uncertainty.
It's also, and this is just a personal opinion here. To me, it's that feeling that, as you just said, it looks like it's supposed to be moving. Have you ever been to a funeral and you are
Yes.
looking at the corpse and it almost tricks your eye? Like, oh, you can see it breathing, you can see it moving, you can see, but it's not. It's just, it's, you're so used to seeing that person moving, breathing, your eyes start to trick itself. Dolls can do the exact same. Not to mention, back in the day, there was this very, very big trend of if somebody died, you would cut off their hair and use their hair to make a doll of them.
Yes.
It's just the idea that it's a human shape. It's the same with the fear of what's that? Fear of AI.
Pediophobia. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say pediophobia is the fear of. I do believe it's dolls and clowns.
Mm.
For
Well,
some reason,
a
those two
new
go
one.
hand in hand.
Yeah, a new one
Calorophobia is the
has.
fear of clowns.
Is it Angora? I thought that was
So
spiders.
calorophobia.
Oh,
is the fear of
okay.
clowns.
They all
I
sound
know.
the same.
I know.
Too many
I have it.
phobias.
I hate clowns.
Then
No,
I really don't show you my
do a
doll.
clown episode.
Actually, no. You mentioned the idea. Don't.
no.
You mentioned the idea of dolls with human hair, and I
Mhm.
actually happen to have one.
Oh, make
This-
it big. I want to see it.
This
Oh,
one, this is actual human hair. Now, as to whose hair, I don't know. I've had this doll since I was about 5, I think. My parents bought it for me at a little antiques gallery. She's a reproduction, so I don't know exactly how old she is, but I know she's not as old as she looks. I know she's at least 50, but could be older. But she's wearing this little velvet thing. See, that's what proves that she's a reproduction, is that she has buttons, which would not have been on this sort of outfit. Buttons didn't come around till later, but that's a different topic. Her name is Emily, and she even has like little button Victorian shoes, you know.
that's so cute.
Oh, wow.
And I love her to bits, but I know people find her absolutely terrifying. But to be completely honest, she's never done anything but sit on the shelf. For me, she's just a cute little shiny doll that I've had since I was wee. And as I said, people find her creepy as hell when they find out that it's real human hair. You can style it. I used to curl it when I was younger. And then at some point, I just decided the braid was the safest thing to do for it. But it's lovely and soft and silky.
Nice. Are we showing off dolls now? Are we?
Let's
to
do
that?
I do want to
Yeah.
ask Vicky, what is the oldest doll that you have in your collection? What
yeah.
is
Yeah.
what is the
Probably the composition dolls, which back in the day they were made.
Oh,
I have, let me see. Back in the day they were made with like sawdust and things
And
like
glue.
that.
mhm,
And the eyes would move. They're like from the 1930s.
mhm.
Oh wow.
So I used to love them, but I have so many that now I will, which is not good, but I will paint them up and make them like into. I made one out of Eddie Munster. He was great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
He
that's
turned
so
out great.
bad. I think if you're giving them a new life and they're going to be loved by someone, I think that's fabulous.
Yes,
I don't
because some of
think
them
that's a bad thing.
are so old that they're so badly damaged. So, I'm actually repairing them as well as giving them a whole new identity.
So I love this comment. So pretty. My mother cut my hip length hair when I was 5 for a doll.
Oh,
I'm
how
just curious.
lovely.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
assuming the doll was for you, but
Oh,
We hope.
I mean, I'm kind of curious because I mean, if you have extremely long hair and you already have a doll with your hair, your mother might actually put it on somebody else's doll. Like for instance, yours, Magda. You have somebody else's hair.
yeah, I don't know. No idea who hair this is on my doll.
DNA
Lovely,
test the
like-
doll's hair.
There you go. You can find out the original owner of it.
Okay, so Toy Robot upstairs, who's my behind the scenes person, which most of y'all know. We were in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, and we were in an antique store, and there was a section of mourning art with pendants, photos, and the other items made with hair of the deceased. Beautiful stuff, probably left there. When you start dealing with When you were commenting about the human hair, I'm like, that is such a personal thing, especially for women, because we love to style our hair and cut our hair, and we play with our hair so much that I just feel like if something is going to attach, it's going to attach to the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm just over here laughing about being a mom because we collect all sorts of weird, creepy stuff. I have ribbons of my child's hair in a drawer. There's teeth in another drawer.
Yes, but that's you as a mom. Now, I don't wanna go
Fossilized
play
off her
somebody.
children.
Okay, so I will say this.
Belly button.
So I will say that I have been out. I have a doll that's from the 1900s. That was my grandmother's. No, my mother's parents had an antique store, and she had the hair for a doll. She anticipated in finding. Oh, okay. Okay, so I will say we were out a couple of years ago, and we went to this we stayed at a cabin in Nashville, and it was for an event, and it was a horrific experience on many levels. But one of the big things that we found is that somebody there had like teeth in a jar, or teeth in a little thing that was like baby teeth, and there was clippings of people's hair. It's like when it's your family's and you know where it came from, that's one thing. When it's somebody else's and you're looking at it going, this is an Airbnb. Oh my God, you couldn't have put this somewhere else.
No.
I can imagine them setting it out and being like, it's cute. They'll make it feel like their family.
No, that's offsides. No.
I don't know. It makes you wonder if the person who stayed there before you did it as a prank. Like,
No.
you know what I mean? It might not belong to the Airbnb at all. It just was an extra little something
great.
somebody slipped in the drawer.
Now we
That
all have a new
Airbnb
hobby.
Checking the drawers at
Start
Airbnb.
leaving
leaving
creepy stuff behind.
Okay, so I will say this.
Glad Lauren thought that too.
So I will say this was probably the worst experience that we have ever had in an Airbnb, and there were things that were left behind, and it was very creepy, and it was there. If there was ever a haunted place that we have stayed in, this was it. This place had such bad juju, and we found some awful things. And I will share that when we're not on the air, because I don't know that I could go into these conversations. And one of the ladies that was staying with us actually woke up in the middle. It was like 3 a.m. screaming because something had crawled out of the mattress and into her hair. And we think it might. We don't know what. It was awful. It was awful.
I have
no human skin. Sorry, Eli. But teeth, definitely.
I'll say real quick though, as far as people afraid of haunted dolls, I mean just dolls in general, at my show, I can tell you half the people that pass my booth they can't even look at the dolls. They run right by. And the funny thing is that they will do that, and then they'll see Jason with a machete. And they'll be like, take a picture with me. And it's like, what? And you're at a horror convention and you're afraid of dolls. That always gets me.
Well, I think that there's an element when you're looking at Jason at a horror convention. We have a couple of friends who are horror cosplayers, and we have one that's been on a show a couple of times who is a Jason and is phenomenal Jason. And yes, if we see him at a convention, we're going to go Jason, but we know who that is. We know who that person is. We know that's Mid-South Maniac, and he's our buddy. But walking up to a doll, you don't know where it came from. You don't know the history. So I can definitely see where people would kind of get freaked out about it.
So much.
We're so the opposite in my family. We went to a horror con with our daughter, who, by the way, is obsessed with Annabelle. This is her Annabelle doll. She also cosplays Annabelle. She's 4. And someone had a life-size Annabelle doll that they were walking around with. Complete strangers, don't know who they were. But my little Annabelle went running up to them going, Annabelle, it's me, wanting to hug their dolly. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm sorry. But we got pictures. Let's see here. Pay the Jason cosplayer to wear a doll mask and see what happens. That reminds me of the movie The Boy.
Stuff in mattresses. I pray it was a ghost rather than like bugs or mice. We think it was a rat. I honestly, it could have been a raccoon.
Possible.
It could have been a rat. We have no idea what it was.
My daughter owns a doll we call Library Doll. She inherited it from her grandmother, who only know it may have been before 1970. It had no eyes. I was positive it was only happy when my daughter was home. That's unsettling.
Aw.
Unsettling. See, none of my dolls are creepy in the sense that they're not haunted.
The
They're
doll.
not. They're not
Look.
doing things. Let me see the doll.
No
Wait,
eye.
I'm talking, but see the doll. There we are.
Oh, man.
Love it.
Yes.
Love
Just
it.
my
It
dolls.
looks like
Gotta
her
love when the
eyes
children
weren't
bring you
there.
things like
Just
that.
I have terrifying dolls, but I don't think of them as creepy. I just love them. Like probably the one that upsets people one of the most is I have a black dahlia doll.
Oh, I love that. You have the black and the white one.
Oh
Okay,
my
so-
goodness.
Complete with
All the stitches.
all the stitches and a lovely negligee. So I have dolls like the black dahlia, and I have where are you? Sorry, Lizzie Borden.
I have
Oh,
Lizzie.
wow.
Complete
I
with
didn't
eyes.
realize they made a Lizzie Borden doll.
Lizzie Borden.
No, the best thing ever. My sister, just younger than I, one year we decided to dress up as Living Dead dolls. So I made this ensemble for her. I
Wow.
made this exact costume, down exact to it. I made the satin. I made the cotton. I made the fur on the cuffs. I even made her, got
Yeah.
her boots. So I made the whole thing for her. Made that for her. My other favorite Living Dead doll, that's that brand that these are.
That's my
It's my-
Annabelle too.
My
Oh my
conjoined twins. These are Hazel and Hattie. I love them to bits. And yes, they are conjoined. They do not come apart.
Wow.
Ooh.
So, but see, to me, I don't think of them as creepy. Now, you kind of see it, but I have a 6 foot tall, coffin shaped doll shelf that all of these, well, some of these, I have over 200 of them.
Good
Set
lord.
on. I have a stupid amount of them. And every come out with different sorts. They've got Toxic Molly with her
I love.
precious
Are you
little-
my mummy?
I know, and then you pull her and you have that.
I'd say that one's creepier once you pull the mask up.
Exactly. But the other thing about this particular brand is that they have quite a lot of things that they've taken and gotten rights to.
Yes.
Like you
Nice.
have this.
Okay.
There's an Elvira
So-
one too. That
There
I
is. There's
really want.
Elvira. They have some that are not so creepy because they have like Joker and Harley, and they have quite a few different ones that, like I said, I don't think of them as creepy, but I know most people do. So I collect dolls that look creepy, but I just think they're lovely. And as I said, none of my dolls have ever moved. They've never danced around. They've never shifted position. I don't know if they don't like me. They're afraid to move. I don't know. But I've never had any sort of supernatural experience with any of my dolls. So I don't know if it's just me.
I just wanted to jump in real quick. I am also a Living Dead doll lover. But when I was a kid, I wasn't so much into Barbies. I was more into Kelly's. So I got all the baby dolls.
Oh yeah.
I have. Those are my little happies.
Oh,
That was
wow.
all.
I love
Okay,
the
They
so-
come in
babies.
coffin-shaped boxes too.
they
This is
do?
the first time I've seen those. That is so
My
funny.
mother
Come
used
in-
to make like
They have
rip-off,
like little poems that come with them.
Mhm.
Oh my god, I love this. My mother used to make these rip-off versions of like the Cabbage Patch patterns where you could like. So I had this big giant Cabbage Patch doll that was supposed to kind of look like me. It had like the same hair coloring, and she put it in a black dress, and it was hideous. And it was, but it's like I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but so we are at the show and tell part. Is that are we there now?
I think so.
Totally.
Yeah, we're
Let's
going
start
for
with
it.
Vicky. Show us something that is just very unique that you love that you would love to share with us.
Oh gosh, my whole house.
Yeah,
Where to start? Where to start?
Well, in this room, well,
I
I
love
can
that
I can show you.
window.
I actually did The Boy since you were talking about The Boy.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
I love
Yeah, and
that movie so
If you look on the internet, you'll see Getty Images. I was at the premiere, so you'll see a picture of me if you can find it. And let me show you him.
Oh.
Hold on.
All right. While she's doing that, I just want to show off my little Apple doll while she's grabbing him. Little
Oh,
Apple dolls. When DL did the advertisements for the show, She used a
Yes!
little Apple doll as her advertisement doll. So yeah, I have one of those. They're super
Oh,
cute
wow.
and creepy.
I
Okay.
love them,
Okay.
but it's hard to find
So let's see if
like
I can
here with things.
show him in here.
Oh
All right, there he is.
my
Can we see him?
gosh.
Beautiful.
Can we make her screen
Can we-
bigger real quick?
Yeah.
Back to
Can we move
Vicky.
Vicky?
Let's
Wrong
see.
one. Try again.
Hi, cat.
Nope, not me.
I gotta see if I can see him. There he is. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there he goes.
Oh, that looks so good.
That
Yeah.
is so awesome.
That is
So,
gorgeous.
At the premiere, they gave you this, if we can see that, reserved seating, the boy, and he was sitting there all by himself on the chair. That was hysterical.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think I have some pictures on Instagram of him sitting in the chair with his popcorn and everything.
Oh, that's so
that's
cute.
I have so many people that want to buy him, and I
bet.
I only make one of a kind dolls, so
Yeah.
It's like that
when I
one's
make it,
yours.
that's it. It's the only one. So I said I'll keep him in my personal collection. I have maybe 10 dolls that I've kept that I've done that I couldn't part with, and yeah, he's one of them so far.
Yeah, that movie was so good. The twist,
Oh,
spoiler alerts.
Oh yeah,
the
such a
twist at the end where you expect it to go one way. Okay, it's a doll, it's a haunted doll, and then the twist happens, and you're like, "Whoa, wait, what?" It's okay, yeah.
Yeah.
that movie
So I have
didn't
to
get
ask.
enough credit. That was a great movie.
Agreed.
No,
Yeah.
it did not. It was great. There's a second one out too, and I have not seen that one yet. But I love the
haven't
doll.
either.
I absolutely love that movie so much. Or the boy. I'm sorry. I have to ask: have you ever been contacted by somebody in doing a movie to create a doll?
Oh yes. At one convention, I had a movie company call, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. All right. And so they just kept calling, and they said, we want to commission a doll for this new movie called Dementia 13. And it was actually Francis Ford Coppola. He did the first one, I believe, in 1962 or 63 or 64. I'm not sure, one of those. And they were remaking it. And this one was going to have a haunted doll in it, since the dolls were very popular in the movies at this point. So they bought 2 dolls, and they are in the movie.
Really?
Check that out.
Yeah, in Instagram.
Wonderful.
Instagram is always easier to go to because I post like the important things. So you will see the promo that they made. You'll see the 2 dolls in there, and then through the movie you'll see it.
That is nice. Do you have a favorite horror movie other
Yeah,
than
I'm
like
curious.
Annabelle or The Boy that involves dolls?
Well, Talking Tina, of course, was the original. That was the
Twilight
freakiest
Zone. Oh yeah.
freakiest
Mhm.
episode, the best episode ever. So definitely Talking Tina. And they don't make that many horror dolls in the movies. I mean, you think they do,
Oddly,
but they really don't.
Well, a lot of them are very
the one that comes.
B cheesy.
Mhm.
Right. And the B movies, they have tons. I mean, the movie
Yeah.
dolls, they're all over
Yes.
the place.
Oh, aye.
Puppet Master has
Puppet
a bunch
Master.
of icon.
Oh, I
Yes.
love Puppet Master.
Yeah, that's a
Oh
good one. I haven't
gosh.
done
Oddly,
any
I
Puppet
was
Masters yet.
I was oddly
I want a
introduced
Blade
to one
doll so
because of
bad.
my children. There's is a Goosebumps. You know, the series Goosebumps with the books and all that.
Oh,
Well, they've got
the-
the series as well, and one of them involved a little girl who is not very well behaved, who's kind of horrid, and they end up getting a doll, a twin doll of her. It looks exactly like her, and the family starts talking more to the doll than they do to the little girl because she's so horrid. And after a while, she switches places with the doll, and the doll takes over her life and is this lovely, sweet, polite little thing. And the child is actually trapped inside the doll and able to move or talk. My little girl just about lost her mind the first time she saw this one particular episode and has refused to watch Goosebumps ever since. Won't watch it because of that doll. She looks kind of crosswise at a few of her dolls, like, mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, that explains so much about the My Twin doll now. It really, really does. Not that Scarlet was horrid, but
That Well, mine's not horrid, but you know.
She was a strong-willed child. Let's just leave it at that.
I've
Maybe
got a little girl.
Tracy needs to take a little trip to Vicky, and
Oh gosh.
just say it. Everybody seems to not like Tracy anyway, so
Maybe we need to donate Tracy to Vicky.
that's right.
If you want me to
Like
if you want me to make her look like something different and something fun, I can. You know, but I think she's genuinely creepy the way she looks.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. I'm gonna 100% agree on that. If you can make Tracy more creepy, then
Honestly,
challenge accepted.
Pull a picture back up real quick.
Yeah,
Because if you really, really wanted to creep her, honestly, I think she'd make a pretty good Claudia doll if you did longer hair, did the ringlet
definitely.
curls.
Oh.
I bet that would make a really good Claudia doll.
Definitely.
And now I want a Claudia doll.
Yeah.
I did too.
I have
When
a
does
porcelain
that-
doll named Claudia, but I want a Claudia doll now.
Is that movie coming out, or is it just the book?
It's a TV series.
Oh, a TV series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we were talking about is they have completely altered the character of Claudia, so she's no longer that little childlike doll character. So I'm like,
Gotcha.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do the scene doll makeover. We agree.
Doll
We
makeover
agree.
a little bit.
Okay, so everybody in my house hates clowns, and I don't. I kind of laugh, and I'm like, I always wanted a pet clown. I know that you can't. I know, I really do. I want a clown to be a friend of mine. I actually have friends that are clowns, but so I have this.
Oh, that's great.
This is one that somebody has obviously taken a baby doll and recreated, and there was just something about it that reminded me of Captain Spaulding. That
I was about to
I
say
know it's
Captain
not-
Spaulding.
There was something
The
about it that
hair
reminded me
is
of Captain
getting me.
Spaulding, because I'm like, so this is like my favorite. This is my favorite right here, just because I love Sid Haig.
Great.
I was so depressed.
Well, I'll
that
let you-
hair. That hair is
That
everything.
hair.
I'm making
Just
him
one
right
little
now.
patch out of the side of hair.
Oh.
Where is he? So
I
that's
love it. Look at those glowing eyes.
yeah. So
Like
he's in
cat
the,
eyes.
he's in the making, and you can see how long he's been in the making because I've been busy with other dolls. So we started him in I can't see it 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is how
Oh,
I
wow.
sign my dolls.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's on the
on the belly.
But yeah, it's 2018. Oh my god, I haven't finished him yet. I usually finish the dolls in the same year, but that one for some reason stayed like that. So we'll see.
I guess anybody. I mean, we start projects, we put them aside. We start projects, we put them aside. I totally get it.
Yeah, he's my
Yup.
only longest project. So it's mainly the clothes because I sew all the clothes myself. So when I go to a convention, I have to have a lot of inventory. So if I get stuck doing one doll for too long, then the other dolls kind of have to wait. So I put him aside for a long while.
So I have a text message that's actually been sent to me, and someone wants to know what you use to paint your dolls. What
All
kind of paints?
acrylic paints.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a brand that you gravitate to?
Oh, no,
or
no.
Is...
No brand. Just regular paint that you would get at a craft store.
Well, then,
So
I have a
there's many-
question.
Yes.
Do you have a particular sealant that you use for it?
Well, after you paint, then you have to seal it with either a spray.
Oh,
I prefer spray. I've tried where you brush it on and it kind of takes the paint off that's on the
Yes.
bottom. And it
well,
takes
I
it
was
off.
curious about that because I've never worked on a doll before. I've done painting of fabric because I'm a seamstress, so I appreciate getting all the bits and pieces done for doll clothes. I hate doll clothes; they're so
Yeah, they're
tiny
very
and so
hard.
fiddly. It
Yep.
takes a lot of time to do them, so I do bigger projects, but I can
Right.
do it. I just don't like to. So I was very curious because I've never painted a single thing except fabric, and I know working with fabric that you have to use certain types of sealants because if you don't, it's going to bleed. So I thought the same might be with the porcelain. That's why I asked. I was curious.
Right. And just like with paintings, when you do a sealant, everything just pops and the colors just come out so much better. I mean, there are some dolls that look great when I don't, if I want to just keep it very matte looking, but you kind of have to put some sort of sealant. So I'll put a matte sealant if I don't want it to look glossy. But the glossy look always looks better, especially the eyes and the lips.
I used to do pottery, and I know that whenever you were working with just general bisque versus porcelain, there was a huge difference in what you would paint and fire with, because and of course I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, would you fire a doll in a kiln? How does this, I mean, I know that it's probably the same process, but
well, there's another market other than my market. My market is altering dolls. Then there's reborn dolls where they do bake. They bake them in the oven to seal the paint. Those are so intricate. I haven't even attempted to even want to do a reborn doll, but they very realistic. And people spend tons of money for some realistic looking baby vampires. You know?
I bet.
I have to admit, if ever there was a doll that gave me the creeps, it would be a reborn doll. They're just a little too realistic. That's, as I said, the uncanny valley concept of it's just a bit too close to life for my tastes. I like my dolls to look a bit more cartoonish, personally speaking.
Right.
So I have a question. Did anyone else do any true crime research? Because I have one I wanted to talk about, but I don't know if anyone else did any.
I think Kat did.
And the cat did.
Kat, take it.
I didn't true crime it. I didn't do the true crime research this week. I was looking up dolls, and at one point I was down in Key West, and of course all the dolls we've discussed, I'm surprised nobody has brought up Robert the doll. And I went on one of those haunted tours, and we walked by the house. The house was located at 534 Eaton Street, and that is like down in the heart of Key West, if you ever go down there, where it's kind of right off Duval Street, where the partying and all the fun kind of happens. But we walked by the house, and at the time the doll was no longer at the house. It had been transported over to, it's a museum now. It's hang on, I've got it written down. It's the East Martello Museum, and I wanted to see that doll, but they explained kind of what happened in the house and when they moved the doll, and they reconstructed the inside of the house. I do believe it is an inn now where you can stay, but I think they had things in the reconstruction of the house where the lights would pop on and things like that. And from what I understand with Robert the doll, same thing happened when they moved him to this museum where they had the lights turn on in the museum. And so now they have him in like a glass, kind of like a curio, just like a glass coated case around him. And they take tours now to that museum, which I didn't know at the time. I was on the other side of the island partying with back then, so I didn't realize that he had been transported across to the other side of the island where it was closer to the airport. But I really just hate that I missed seeing this doll in person. But what's kind of neat and what's fascinating, yes, there he is. Okay, and so they have rules when you go to visit Robert the doll, that for one, you have to introduce yourself, and then you have to ask permission to take a picture of him, and then you have to be polite and say thank you. That's their rules. I'm not sure how they've gotten to that, but what to me is more fascinating that I would like to see kind of almost more than the doll itself is they have this whole wall plastered behind it, and it is of notes where in letters that people have written who have taken pictures of Robert without asking his permission. And so there's all kinds of oops, I'm sorry notes written all up and down the wall where people have had all kinds of like impending doom apparently if you take his photo. And so there's just a whole wall of letters that I would love to go through and read. I don't know. I just have that kind of spare time. So I didn't get a picture of, I didn't get a picture of Robert because I went on the haunted tour, which was led in the tourist area where it is like the downtown where most of the happening stuff in Key West. Key West is kind of like, you've got one side of the island where it's got like Duval Street, and they've got where they do the sunset parties and everything. And also I think where cruise ships dock. So there's a lot more going on that side of the island. And then you've got another side where they have the southernmost point, which everybody sees in pictures, but where the actual museum where the doll is kept is actually kind of it's not in a touristy area. It's where the airport is. So it's not a place where where foot traffic goes through. You would have to make a conscious effort to go drive yourself to that side of that island. It's not a big island, granted, it's pretty small. But no, I didn't get to see it. But I did get to see the original house, which the house is really cute. It's like a Victorian home, and I think the doll, they don't know where it originated from specifically. They think that the mother or it was gifted to a boy named Gene or Robert Eugene Otto, but the doll was named Robert by Gene based off of his first name. And they think that the mom had like a servant or something, that the doll was gifted to her, and she gifted it to the son in the sailor suit. So I don't know if there was some kind of voodoo put in the doll, or, they're telling if it's loaded, like you said, with the dust and the sawdust. It could be animal bones. There's no telling what's in that doll, honestly. So that was kind of like my history. But that, like I said, I've never experienced anything personally from this doll. I've just kind of breezed by where the doll once lived for a very long time and never really got to see it in person. But I would love to go down to that museum and read those letters that are posted on that wall, because that would be a lot of fun.
So I think Donna's having a little bit of technical difficulty. She dropped out. I got a text from my Joey the roadie saying he thinks that our camera froze. So she's probably trying to get that fixed.
Okay.
We have about 4 minutes left. I'm just going to jump on to the one that I wanted to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have y'all ever heard of the Hello Kitty murder?
No.
No? Okay. Very, very big research here. Much Wikipedia. The Hello Kitty murder was a 1999 case in which a nightclub hostess was abducted and tortured in an apartment in Hong Kong after stealing a wallet owned by one of the frequent customers. Let's see here. During her imprisonment, she was subjected to torture, and according to Chan Man Luk's grooming victim, they beat her with metal bars, kitchen utensils, and furniture pieces, sometimes while hanging her and using her as a punching bag. In one occasion, they had kicked her head around 50 times. They rubbed spices into her wounds, burned her with candle wax and hot plastic, forced her into other things, made her consume human flesh and urine, and forced her to smile and say that she was enjoying the beatings. After about a month of imprisonment and torture, she succumbed to her wounds and passed away while her captors were out. Upon returning home, they had found her deceased body in the bathroom, which they had locked her in. They then dismembered her and boiled her. They sewed her boiled skull inside of a Hello Kitty mermaid doll and discarded the rest of her remains. When they were caught, only her skull, one tooth, and some internal organs were recovered in a plastic bag. That is the Hello Kitty murder.
Had not heard of that.
No, never heard of that.
That one's very, very graphic. I remember hearing that one years ago, and it has stuck with me because
Well, if
not
the
gonna
Hello
forget
Kitty
that
doll
one.
isn't haunted yet, I have a feeling it will be soon.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. There's so many. Like everyone knows of, the Annabelle kind of story, and Robert's kind of a pretty big story, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about that one. So I'm really glad that you talked about that one, Kat.
Oh.
And he's like impossible to make. I have no idea. I get so many people asking me to make him. I don't even know what he's made out of.
He looks almost like a nylon, but they didn't have like stockings or something, but they weren't stretchy stockings.
Speaking as a seamstress, someone who actually works with fabric, looking at Robert, he looks as though he's made out of a very fine woven, which would be like a linen, or I would suggest linen. Also, looking at the time when he was made, once again, I worked in an antiques gallery. My specialty was textiles. So it looks as though it was made out of some form of linen, and more than likely stuffed with a combination of wool and sawdust. It's the style. It was very common in a lot of German dolls, but also English dolls, but mostly German dolls. German dolls were the most beautiful and the most sought after, as far as composite dolls, as far as soft fluffy dolls like that one, which, believe it or not, he would be considered a soft doll or a cuddle doll.
And I think he was handmade by someone. I don't think there's more of him floating
Oh, that's
around.
good to know.
Oh no.
That's good to know. No,
Yeah.
see, as they said, as Melissa says, there are different types of dolls, especially, German. That's what I'm saying. He looks like, no, it's a German doll. This is
Oh,
the
he's made of animals.
This is
could
the
be an
sort of thing I
animal.
worked with.
Yeah.
So they did a lot of animals. They did like elephants. I actually have one of the dolls from that company. That's an elephant. It's off away in a little
Oh wow.
acid.
I wish we could see all your dolls.
Oh, I have so many. No, that would take 3 or 4 shows to see all of my dolls. I have too many. Hi, welcome back, GL. Just
Welcome
in time to
back.
say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. My computer just completely lost all internet connections, and I have
Aw.
my apologies. My
It was
apologies.
Tracy. It was Tracy. Tracy got pissed.
I know.
Man, it's the
couldn't
idea
talk.
they send off for a makeover.
Did we ask permission to show the pictures of the dolls?
Apparently, we didn't.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna show my age real quick before we log off here. What is Talking Tina? I know that's the name of our show, but I don't know what that's
Oh,
from.
you're a baby. No, it's
This
it's
Well,
the
it's
Twilight
Twilight Zone.
Zone.
Twilight
Oh,
Zone.
it's
Twilight
Twilight.
Zone.
Okay.
There was
Which-
an evil little doll. You know the dolls that had the pull strings on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'd
Yes.
She
there's a
started
Twilight
everything.
Zone, you pull it,
Yeah.
and she says, "I'm talking Tina." So she turns out to be rather awful. It's just things like, "I'm talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you." So,
Oh my god, it was
you
great.
see it.
Oh,
It's
you have to
adorable.
see
You'd
that.
probably like it. It's precious, actually. No, I laughed all the way through it because I'm not right in the head.
I think we all laughed. By the way, I mean, I do believe Telly Savalas was in it, and
I think so.
yeah, I think he was the stepdad that was so evil. So,
Mhm.
yeah, Cat or not Cat? I'm sorry. I know that you were talking about Robert the dog. Lauren, did you get to talk about yours?
Yes, I jumped in. You missed all of the blood and gore. I'm sorry.
I'm so
It's
sorry.
nasty and delightful.
Okay, so I just have one thing I want to bring up real quick. There is a doll. I'm being told it's time to go, but I'm going to share this real quick. So there is I don't know if it's a doll, but it's referenced as a mannequin. It is La Pascalita, which is a bridal, is in a bridal shop in Mexico. And La Pascalita is, she's been in the shop for about 90 years, and she's believed to possibly be the corpse of the owner's daughter, or at least the previous owner's daughter. But the thing that catches people off guard is the detail on the fingers and the fingernails and everything. But
Wow.
it is, if you've ever had a chance to do any research on it, it's truly, truly fascinating.
Mhm.
But because I mean, we do know that people will steal bodies. Thanks to Magda.
Yeah.
Um,
Another Key West treat from last week. What are people doing down in the Keys?
There's something.
I
else.
love it down. It's so laid back. I just couldn't
Seriously wrong
fathom.
with Florida.
I love Florida. I think Florida's great. I'm just gonna leave myself there.
there's a lot of weird.
My kind of people.
Yeah.
It's if it makes you feel any better, I would definitely go up into Florida, see a gator, and be like, "Kitty!" So
But if we think we can pet, yes, it is.
Mannequin.
So
yeah,
creepy.
they've
So
done
creepy.
different pictures of the mannequin before, and they've pointed out like you can see veins. Like someone, if it's a doll, someone took the time to paint veins and wrinkles into her, and
And we
it's
know people
very detailed.
And we know people will do that, but it's just creepy how detailed that one is, right down to like the lines in her fingers and her fingernails. I mean, it is truly. That's one of the things that I really want to see eventually in my lifetime. Is I want to see this mannequin, this doll, and determine. And I mean, I know I can't determine if it's real or not, but I just want to see it. Okay, so I'm being. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say we might need a second doll episode because there's so many we didn't touch on. There's the ventriloquist doll from Goosebumps. There's the Muppet style dolls from Angel. Whenever him and Spike got turned into, there's a whole lot of stuff we didn't get to touch on.
So before we sign off, I do want to, because this is very short notice, those of you who follow the Murdering Crows, we are actually scheduled to play at the Mallory Neely House, which is a museum here in Memphis next week or this coming weekend, like March the 5th. And it's a 20s theme speakeasy. And it's like $35, and that is like drink tickets and everything. Or you can do like the VIP tour of the facility, and it's $75. But we've done similar events to this in the past, and those are always so much fun to go in those houses and just be part of the atmosphere. So, but just throw that out. And with that said, I also want to say, Vicki, once again, where can we find you if we want to buy a doll? Like Wednesday.
Well, I do sell some on eBay, whatever I can and put up, but mostly I sell them at conventions, horror conventions. And then you can find that by just following me on Instagram and just seeing me through the year. And then, you'll see postings of if a show is coming up. Okay. That's like the best way.
Is there one coming up?
I'm thinking of doing one in October. Usually Halloween's always the big one. I used to do like 6, 7 a year. It's very exhausting. Exhausting. So during the pandemic, and plus they were closed last year, but I did one in Maryland. So most likely would do one again in October. But if you're on Long Island and you want to see my dolls, I am in an antique mall called Remember Yesteryears. I don't know if anyone's from Long Island, but any viewers, you can go to Remember Yesteryears in Oakdale, and I have a little area there, and you can see my art and some dolls.
Nice. Wonderful.
Yay.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else they want to share?
Pineapple.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I got a goat.
You got a goat? Look at the goat.
Goat. Hello,
my youngest daughter hates the goat. We named him Beelzebub.
The goat. I didn't get to show all of mine either.
Oh, no, that's precious.
I have a thing about goats. I have a lot of them. No real ones because I'm not allowed. Anyway, with that said, everybody good night and pleasant screams.
Bye.
Bye.